Hello! So today, as promised, we are going to talk about lambdas and how I migrated my .NET Lambda into the Go. But just to give a quick reminder what we are talking about, we have this website, the Opsapalooza, and over here we have the subscription option, subscription form, where someone would be able to subscribe to the updates and see what is going on. And it is possible to enter something like 123 at anymail.mail, click subscribe, and it will trigger the Lambda, and then it is saved into the DynamoDB, and we can refresh this, and hopefully we will see that just now, about seconds ago, we have this 123 at anymail.mail available with the date saved when it was inserted into that table, and additionally we have some message that is a hard-coded source of go go go. I have no idea why I decided to use it like that, but I decided that it was fun enough, right? With that being said, let's see what we had before. And previously, as I said in my other video, I had my Lambda written in .NET Core, and it was pretty simple. So I had a function, it was generated automatically using the SDK for Amazon, and I have a save customer method task that will receive an email. It will save it into the hard-coded table of customers, and it will insert into those three fields with the email message. And initially the message was the source of the DevOpsapalooza subscribe, and the DevOpsapalooza subscribe, it's the name of the Lambda itself. And finally the date, which is just a date time now over here. And as you can see, this .NET implementation is very easy. You can read it on a single screen pretty much. But first of all, it didn't work anymore. And secondly, it wasn't really complete. So in terms of the tests, I had only the default test that was implemented by SDK itself, where the function actually just was used to write something in the application, not to test the application itself. So let's forget that we ever had this, and let's focus on what we have at the moment. And that's what I have. I have my main Go over here, and it is very easy to follow the documentation from AWS, how to write the handler of the function of the Lambda. And here the example is to use the S3 bucket to write something to it, but at the same time you can find the documentation how to write to Lambda, to DynamoDB, and that's what I did. So pretty much we need those two packages to be imported, and then in order to be able to test it, and yes, in this implementation I actually added valid tests. I added a DynamoDB API, which is just an interface that can wrap around all of the operations that I'm interested in the DynamoDB, so this thing can be mocked in the unit test. Once again, the table name I just hard-coded as customers, but it can be updated and read, for example, from the environment variables. But because I have only a single environment, there is no need for that. And I usually prefer the approach to make it as simple as possible, but not simpler, because later it would be really hard for someone, or for me, future me, to come back to this code and try to understand what is going on. But now for the function, and the handler looks a little bit more difficult, but it actually does a little bit more. So the very first thing that is happening over here is now I try to parse the email address that was sent, and if it is incorrect email address, so for example, if someone accidentally forgets to put @ in the email address, it will throw it there, that error, and nothing will be saved, because we want only the real email addresses that I might potentially use one day. And in order to do that, there is a library available in Go, so it's easy to do and implement. And the rest is pretty much as it was before. So we have a current time in a RFC format, and then I save it the item as email, date, and message with a hard-coded source of go, go, go into the specific DynamoDB. And if something goes wrong, I once again output a log message that I failed to write to Dynamo. And there would be different response codes available. So with that kind of implementation, it's a little bit more robust, and we can actually write the tests. So in the main test, I was able to write 3 tests at the very least. So one of them is for the green pass, where everything is fine. And then another test when someone puts an email address in an incorrect format. And finally, the test if the DynamoDB throws an error and the configuration of the DynamoDB is not working. And with that kind of testing, I think we can cover all of the possible scenarios. So it is good, and it gives some sort of a confidence of the functionality. And additionally, when you will come back to that code 5 years later, you will be able to finally, hopefully you will be able to understand what's going on and what you are trying to achieve, what you are testing. So those tests, they actually work as documentation as well. So as you can see, once again, as with my previous example of migrating of the pizza backend from Java to Go, it is very easy to do the migration if you know what you are doing. And in my case, it was this specific Lambda function that I wanted to rewrite. The functionality itself is very easy. And it is possible to write tests to use them as documentation and have some sort of a confidence that everything is working fine. And maybe one more thing that I wanted to show is how actually this thing is called. I have the button click handler from the index HTML, and it is a hard-coded Java script itself. And here we just get the value from the element and try to post it to a specific API, which is, if you remember from the previous version, it is a distribution from the API gateway from AWS for this specific function. So everything like that works nicely, and we saw how it actually works in real life over here. I hope it helps you to get some inspiration to maybe try a new language, because it's a lot of fun. And I myself, I wouldn't call me an expert in Go, but still it is nice to be able to write something, write it in a good way, and test it afterwards. And even better, the function itself, it is deployed now with GitHub action, and we can use it in a correct, or this pipeline, what I want to say is this pipeline is good because it tests the code, it builds the code, and it deploys everything right as you want it to be. So once again, the code works as documentation for future me as well. And it's always great to have. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and like and subscribe this video. Stay tuned, there will be more. Bye.